It's Sunday night, August the 11th, and you know what that means. Ringside Heat is on the air on News Talk Sauga 960 AM on your favorite podcatcher, and on August the 12th on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lex Tan, host and producer of the show. You can follow Ringside Heat at Ringside_Heat on all your social media, and you can follow me at Lex Tan Media. Lots of stuff to talk about here today. A lot of meat on the bones that we'd like to pick at right now. And, without further ado, let's talk with the members of the ring crew that you see on your screen right now. First of all, to my right, it is Jose Taboada at Taboada93. He is the director of digital content for Ringside Heat. Jose, welcome back, and thanks for joining again.
Hello. Yes, another week, another eventful week with a lot of meat and bones, apparently. I don't know how to process that line that you just said there, but another fun week, another time to talk. So let's get it going.
Yeah, definitely. And under Jose over here is Steve Peconi at S Peconi Music is where you can follow him on X. And he is, as I called him the last few times that he's been on the show, he is our prodigal oos. And, the last time I saw you in person was over at WWE SmackDown just before Money in the Bank, yes. Over at the Sheraton and or whatever hotel that Johnny was staying at. And it was just fun to sit down and chat with you, and fun to see your daughter as well too, hanging out with John's sons as well, so and his wife. So hey, welcome back to the show, and great to see you again.
Thank you very much. And for the record, it was the Intercontinental Hotel.
Yes, that's right. Okay,
how you're a wrestling fan and you forgot Intercontinental?
Yeah. My bad. The reason why I said Sheraton this week is because for whatever reason, I don't know why, I started binging old classic Price is Right episodes, and a lot of the hotels that they supplied vacations for, or at least the vacations that we're giving away, Sheraton was a supplier of the hotels, including Vancouver, a trip to Vancouver to the Sheraton or whatever it's called now, and that's something actually we'll get into a little bit later. WWE in Vancouver in November. But before we get to that, we have our diamond selling musician and recording artist. He is our current writer of our theme music, and he's got an album out right now called Outlier, and you'll want to listen to that on your favorite podcatcher and buy the 180-gram vinyl at johndawsonmusic.myshopify.com. That's John Dawson. Hello, Johnny.
Hello. How's it going? Jose, you seem upset today.
I seem upset?
What's wrong? Yeah, you seem a little upset.
I will be very transparent with everybody. I woke up with a headache. So I am trying to keep it very, very mild by having a cup of coffee. I don't know why I have a headache this morning, but it's just another one of the, I used to suffer from headaches a lot as a kid. So sometimes they like to come back, and sometimes I realize I just have to play on and carry through and just continue with my day, like record an episode of Ringside Heat. So here I am. And that's why if I seem a little quieter, if I seem a little more serious than usual, I have a headache. I have a headache. That's why. But no, everything. I am very happy. I'm just, the headaches suck. I suffer from a lot. Yeah. For those that want to get to know me a little bit, all the listeners and viewers of Ringside Heat, it happens a lot. So just one of those days for me.
So in the future, though, okay, and then I'm glad it's just a headache, but I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more dramatic. That was a bit disappointing. Life's falling apart. Give me something, man.
Yeah, next time I'll talk about my finances on Ringside.
There you go. Perfect.
The interesting thing is, I think it sounds like we're kind of walking wounded over here today, over this past week. Apparently, Colin, he took a tumble off a bus where he was at, and his knees are a little bit tender right now. So our good well wishes go out to Colin, and for the safe recovery and the quick recovery as well.
He's Jose,
fine,
everybody. Colin is fine. It is not that serious, but he's fine.
I know he's fine. But but it's like, we're walking wounded, but not that wounded. Okay. But Jose and his headache, me, and apparently, and here's a little thing I'd like to share with you guys as well too about my personal health situation. So the last few weeks, I've been doing some wrestling training over at Oshawa with Clash Kincaid and the rest of the ragtag Ottawa crew over here. And there's a vocal tick for me, the overhears that Jose that actually pointed out a couple of weeks ago. Just so there you go. But either way, instead of going to wrestling training over in Oshawa this week, I opted to stay back in Scarborough and go to the gym, go to the elliptical, lift some weights, do some machines, do some crunches, and all that sort of stuff. Try to get myself into that mode again. And here's the thing: I didn't push myself as hard as I did when I did the wrestling training, and I pushed myself. Not just the cardio, but also like the rolls and all that sort of stuff. I lucked out and was just fine. But after the workout yesterday night, at the time of this recording, for whatever reason, the pain of an old ankle sprain on my right ankle decided to come back. I hadn't been able to put weight on it all last night after my workout and into this morning, so I limped up the stairs to Sauga 960 AM, and that was a little bit of a tough go for me this morning. So the lesson of the story over here is do more wrestling training, forget the gym.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's really funny though that all of that work you've been doing, like when people say, "What's wrong with your ankle?" I was an idiot years ago, and now me trying to get in shape has screwed it up. Like, it's not directly connected to anything you're doing. It's just something that happened to you. It's not even, again, you guys are killing me with this. Like, okay, tell me you got a concussion or not knocked out or something. An ankle injury from how long ago?
Let's see. The last time I sprained my ankle was about 12 years ago.
Jesus.
Dude. So for the record, I don't mean to rub it in or anything, but I feel great today.
Yeah.
I've got the house to myself. Yeah. The wife and kid are out visiting my wife's grandfather today, and he's getting a kitten. Ooh. So they are taking him shopping to buy everything he needs. He hasn't had a cat in probably about 60 years. So he doesn't quite know everything he needs. So yes, I get the house to myself. I've been playing guitar this morning. I've been playing some video games, going back into the well, playing some Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Very nice.
This is a wrestling podcast. This is a wrestling podcast. This is a wrestling
yeah. Don't talk about Jedi Survivor. Yeah, this is a wrestling
podcast. So yeah, I'm feeling great today. So I'm sympathetic to you guys.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you very much for your sympathy, Stephen.
Jose can't speak for a while because the only thing that's going to come out of his mouth is Ezio. It's just
only because I'll tell you guys off camera, but I'm just talking about something with Assassin's Creed with a friend, and it's actually kind of big, so that's why I'm like, don't say anything, don't say it. We're just focus on the wrestling. Kayfabe.
You know what? We're just going to call you Jose Can't Speako.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. 40-40.
Can you edit that out in post? I'm so ashamed of that.
Well, there's your ring crew right over here, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Lex. It's Jose. It's Steve. It's John. And this episode of Ringside Heat is brought to you by Outlier by John Dawson. With all that's going on in the world around us, we need a minute to remember what really matters to us. And the album Outlier by John Dawson will give you that. It's about family and simple experiences set to music. The first single, Things I Meant to Say, is about becoming a parent for the first time. Outlier is available on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you get your music, and you get the 180 gram vinyl, which I did last week, at johndawsonmusic.myshopify.com. When we return, we will continue to talk wrestling, as this is a wrestling show, a wrestling talk show, and one of the prominent members of the professional wrestling industry did unfortunately leave this world, and we're going to just talk a little bit about that, and we're going to go into the topics and headlines of the rest of the week as well that just went by. We're listening to Ringside Heat on News Talk Sauga 960 AM. Back after these promotional considerations.
Rest assured, I will greet you.
And welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Sauga 960 AM. I'm Lex Tan. You can follow the show at ringside_heat. Follow me at Lex Tan Media. Also, to my right, Jose Taboada at Taboada93, Director of Digital Content. Bottom right of the screen over here, Steve Peconi at S Peconi Music. And then to the bottom left of the screen, John Dawson at John Dawson Music. Gentlemen, yes, just letting you know as well that the episode of Ringside Heat brought to you by Outlier by John Dawson, available on Apple iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you get your music. Buy the 180-gram vinyl at johndawsonmusic.myshopify.com and buy the t-shirts as well because they are awesome. So this segment over here, we did learn about the passing of one Kevin Sullivan, who a lot of people celebrate for his booking abilities, but he, of course, was, a wrestler in the ranks as well. So it says here, just to give a little bit of the short summary over here. Kevin Francis Sullivan, born October 26, 1949, American professional wrestler and booker, best known for his feuds with the American Dream Dusty Rhodes and Mike Graham in the NWA's Championship Wrestling from Florida promotion, and against Hulk Hogan and the Four Horsemen in World Championship Wrestling. And according to his bio, Championship Wrestling from Florida, Jim Crockett Promotions, WCW, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Eastern Championship Wrestling or ECW, returned to WCW from 94 to 2001. He was involved in the Three Faces of Fear and Dungeon of Doom angle, and he switched to booking duties from 1997 to 2001 following the dismissal of Ed Ferrara and Vince Russo from WCW. He also did independent promotions from 2002 to 2021 and was part of Ring of Honor from 2016 to 2017. A lot of championships on his list over here. Cauliflower Alley Club, the Men's Wrestling Award in 2022, apparently. The NWA World Tag Team Championship, Central States version with Ken Lucas. ECW Tag Team Champion 2 times with the Tasmaniac. Georgia Championship Wrestling, the NWA Georgia Junior Heavyweight Championship. Tag Team Champion, National Television Champion twice. He is a National Wrestling Alliance NWA Hall of Famer in 2014, and he was also inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2013. A lot of other things as well. And here's the thing. I'll be straight up and honest with you guys, and with all you listeners who are listening to the show right now. There's very limited things I know about Kevin Sullivan, but apparently he is being celebrated by the wrestling industry, and there was an in memoriam segment on SmackDown last Friday night talking about his contributions to the wrestling industry. Is there anything that you guys could probably teach me about Kevin Sullivan and his contributions to professional wrestling?
No, I'm like you, man. I've have no real relationship. Obviously, I've been impacted by his work, but without knowing it. So it's nice that they've taken the time to pay tribute to him and all that. I mean, it's always sad when these things happen, but I have no relationship that I know of to Kevin Sullivan, other than being a talking head on a ton of documentaries.
Right.
That's about it, man. But it's good for WWE to tip their hat to the guy. Obviously, he was important to the community, and that's enough, right?
And I mean, from my perspective, I mean, he was definitely more concentrated in an era that I wasn't a part of because I wasn't around or wasn't born, right? Like I was not. It's not my era, but that doesn't. I don't want to let that again kind of diminish the value of it. I mean, yes, it is a tough loss, and it's interesting that you bring that up, John. That when he said he didn't even realize that his work was being there, which I guess is a sign of a good booker. If you don't really, if you're not really noticing who's who, and you assume it's one person, then you realize it's somebody else. That's kind of big, which is important to those legacies and to the stories that entertained you. So so that's a tough loss. It's just, and unfortunately, just for me again, I didn't have the Kevin Sullivan booking experience growing up because again, being a WWE guy, he wasn't really there with WWE in those early 2000s, and he made more of an impact in the 90s. Yes, I think it was very touching for WWE to do that tribute for him. I thought it was I thought it was the right call from what it seems.
Yeah, I'm right on board with you guys. I think WWE did right by him. It wasn't just a little title card like they did, what was it, a minute and a half, kind of running through his career and talking about stuff. But yeah, I think that the impact that Kevin Sullivan had mostly is on booking and how stories are booked and how characters are booked and that kind of stuff. He was, unfortunately, I think that he'll be celebrated more in death than he was in life in that capacity. Because as an on-screen persona, he was, he wasn't huge. He had the three faces of doom and all that. Like he had that whole thing. And that seems to be where people know him a lot from is, sort of that crazy psycho culty kind of stuff.
Right.
Which is cool because that was, again, probably one of the earlier examples of that, with Woman and all of that. Like there wasn't a ton of that culty kind of thing going on.
It was unique. Well, in the age of the satanic panic, that was a bold move.
100%, right? And you have to look like you could probably draw a pretty clear parallel or pretty clear line from Kevin Sullivan to Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
And now to the Wyatt Six. So yeah, again, I think his impact, I think, will be analyzed and acknowledged more in now that he's gone than it was when he was with us, unfortunately. But that tends to be how it is with most great artists, right?
Yeah, and speaking of that, that subtlety that seems to be coming out, that seems to be the topic that is organically coming up between all of us. And Jimmy Corderas himself said that the sign of a good referee is a referee who you don't even notice is there until the 3 count is being is being counted, and it'll be interesting to see that. I like that idea about how you can draw that line from Kevin Sullivan to the Wyatt Six. I like that concept, and I also find with the three faces of fear, the Dungeon of Doom, around that same time, that's when WWE, and then John was saying about the Satanic Panic, how the Undertaker switched from being a mortician to becoming that sort of kind of like satanic cult leader kind of thing in the WWE at the time as well. So a lot of that, a lot of those similar stories were playing out during that time, and I wonder if you could even say the same thing about what AEW tried to do with the Dark Order and stuff like that. So
absolutely, yeah. And the Dark Order was absolutely from that very same school. There was something else that kind of struck me. It was just a blink and you'll miss it thing in that tribute. Is there was Kevin Sullivan giving a very intense promo. But he was very kind of focused, but not loud. It was just very intense and very drawn in. And right behind him was a very young Jake Roberts.
Oh, wow.
And you've got to wonder again, was there some impact there? Right? Because if you want to talk about intense, like quiet intensity in promos.
Oh, you don't get better than
than Jake, right?
Yeah.
But where did he had to learn that from somewhere. Yeah. So you wonder if there's some of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, and you know what, now that you mention it, now thinking about old Jake Roberts clips that I would see on YouTube and his appearances in AEW, it's when people are yelling at the top of their lungs and just and trying to establish themselves that way. That was a great contrast, having Jake and Kevin Sullivan do that soft kind of that soft kind of promo over there, which is which can contribute to mystique. It also contributes to something very creepy if you're if you're being that sort of a character. And again, that's something that you could probably see within Bray Wyatt himself as well. I'm eager to see, obviously eager to see what happens along with the Wyatt Six, as they did make their in-ring debut this past Monday night on Raw as well. So, and the interesting mix between the fantastical, but at the same time the very real coming together of all of them after that match and having a group hug in tribute to Bray as well. So
I'd like to jump in there because I'll be honest, and this may be a big statement that for this, I don't know, and I can't recall right now that I've ever seen it done better. Gimmick translating in transposing it in ring, that may be the best I've ever seen. Because that was the thing we talked about it with Vince Russo. We were worried about that, right? Everybody after their debut was like, okay, you got this crazy horror movie and then you're going to have a triple threat for Money in the Bank, right? So I thought they did exceptionally well, and their in-ring performances were really good.
Oh, they were terrific.
That was a great match. So I don't know. They're able to, what freedom now they have where they can dress up, do this cosplay bit, and they'll just be normal wrestlers in the ring. Oh man, sky's the limit with this now.
It's a psychology that I think people realize that it can work if it's done right.
If it's done right.
And I mean, The Fiend was great, but I remember that was one of the biggest issues with the whole supernatural stuff, right? And and especially once The Fiend got the Universal title, you're going, wait a minute, like how does this end? Like, how can you really defeat a kind of guy like this? The humanizing has been
right away. They did it right away,
and it was it was such a good call to because I like I said, I remember talking about it a couple of weeks back when you had like the Bo Dallas video, and you're going, whoa. This is somehow they made something feel fresh, and it made something feel unique and new. And it's been solid since.
It's been great.
You know what a big part of that is, though? They didn't go supernatural.
No, they didn't.
It's not supernatural. This is mental illness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is psychosis. This is not supernatural. There's nothing spooky dooky. There's no, worms projected onto the ring. There's no, being burned alive and coming back. Like, there's been none of that. This is very much about, these people are
psychological. It's all psychological.
This is all psychological. And you can almost trace this certainly in the case of Bo and Rowan.
Yes.
Bray's death broke them.
Oh yeah.
They're broken, and and that's how this is being played, which is, talk about walking a razor's edge, though. I mean, between exploitative and compelling. So far, they're doing it extremely well, and then kind of bringing in this cult-like element of taking Dexter Lumis and Nikki Cross, particularly, who the main roster never knew what to do with them. They were outliers.
Yes.
They were shameless plug.
There it is.
They were, what do you do with those characters and those people? Well, now they've found their family in these other broken people. Like, there's a really, really beautiful story happening there, which is why they're being booked as baby faces. They're not heels.
I also want to commend Rowan because, I mean, for Rowan, it's not just Bray. It's Brody as well, right? And
yes.
They indirectly brought up Brody. It's a lot what that man has gone through. And I know we've said this before, but I feel like I never want to miss an opportunity to bring that up and how strong Rowan is to do all this, because anybody who loses two friends like that within such a short amount of time, they want to move on. They want to forget about it. They want to do something completely different to not either remind them of them, and just kind of try to live a normal life. But he's embracing it, and he's accepting it in a sense, and he's honoring them in the best way possible. Not many people will want to do that. A lot of people, and I'm sure I would be that kind of person who would just who would want to just kind of move away from everything and just kind of distract myself and just not try to think about it. Rowan is a tough son of a gun, and I commend him for letting us in and saying, letting him say, I got this, guys. And it's inspirational to kind of say, there's ways to move on while also honoring your closest friends. And what a guy, what a character. And I think Lex, you said that he was even nice when you met him in person. So
such a kind, gentle soul, that man.
And he has no right to be kind after what he's been through. You can tell the whole world, get out of my face. Again, a lot of people would. These things impact, they change you. Eric Rowan is not letting it get to him. What a guy.
Yeah, and I've shared this before on the show as well, but I'll share it again when it comes to Eric Rowan, since we're talking about him now. Is that he has those sheep masks? He paints those sheep masks himself that he gives away, that he sells at during shows, and he personalizes them. And the one he personalized for me, he actually wrote there to Lex, "Run." And it was awesome. and I saw that, and it was just like, man, like this guy really is dealing with a lot, but he is he really is dealing with it the best he can, and it's really, really cool that he still gives that honor to to Wyndham that way. And the work that he's done, and I'm glad to see that WWE brought him back and everything. But I guess to tie this all in together, and that's I guess now that we're kind of putting the pieces all together in that sort of sense, that subtle impact of Kevin Sullivan starting those kind and that kind of storyline that he started up back in the mid 90s with WCW. It opened that up to what we can see now with the Wyatt Six, and he may not be celebrated for that, but for the Wyatt Six itself, but it just builds things like that, build in this industry, and I think it's actually really cool to see how we're tracking that kind of history down there. So I guess in the words that Jimmy Corderas used on the show to pay tribute to late friends in the industry of his, may Kevin Sullivan, may Wyndham Rotunda, may Brody Lee, may their memories be eternal. When we come back, we'll talk about WWE Vancouver as confirmed by Triple H, Survivor Series, War Games, and a couple of other headlines that we came across in the week of wrestling news, everything. So remember that this episode of Ringside Heat is brought to you by Outlier by John Dawson. The 180-gram vinyl is available at johndawsonmusic.myshopify.com. Stream it on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you get your music. Also buy the album digitally as well as on vinyl, because every little bit helps. And this is I would say, as I said, meaningful in this message, a feast for the ears musically, and it's a record you'll want to listen to again and again, front to back. Back after these promotional considerations.
When the daylight's done, with me you're not so all alone. With me you're not so. Rest assured I will greet you
And welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Sauga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher, and on YouTube. My name is Lex Tan. Follow the show at Ringside_Heat. Follow me at Lex Tan Media. Follow Jose, the director of digital content, at Taboada 93. Follow Steve at S Peconi Music, and follow John at John Dawson Music. And remember, this episode of Ringside Heat brought to you by Outlier by John Dawson, and you can get John Dawson's Outlier on johndawsonmusic.com. So johndawsonmusic.myshopify.com, and you can get the 180 gram vinyl and t-shirts there. And I could talk about it as well, as I've already been talking about for the past few weeks, but I know that I know I heard some great reviews from Steve and from Jose here. So you know what? Why don't you talk about the album real quick before we get into WWE Vancouver?
Well, I was saying during our little break that I put Outlier on. I mean, I've heard the album several times, pre-release and post, but I've always had it through the eyes of, or the ears of, this is my best friend's album. So I really tried the other day. I put it on while I was working, just trying to have it on as any other record that I would have on when I'm working or when I'm doing stuff. And I just really tried to take my feelings about John out of it and just listen to it as a piece of music. And it really is a lovely, lovely album. The guitar playing is beautiful. The songwriting is fantastic. The lyrics hit really, really hard. It's just really, really stunning. And I'm so proud of Johnny for this lovely piece of work, and I think that I think you should be proud as well, my friend.
Thank you, man. That coming from you, that means a lot. You know music, so thank you very much. Wow, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, make it easy.
Definitely. And so there you go. Make sure you pick up your copy of Outlier by John Dawson and stream it off of your favorite app where you stream music. Anyway, so we are going to be talking about the latest big news for the Canadian wrestling community when it comes to WWE. Triple H confirming earlier this week that WWE is confirmed to go to Vancouver for Survivor Series War Games, and I know William Regal says it way better than me because
he does.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I just don't want to blow up. I just don't want to blow up the mix right now. But I know, particularly Jose. I know we were talking about this last week. Maybe you might actually be going to Survivor Series War Games in Vancouver at the end of the month of November.
The talks have intensified. It is looking to be 80 to 90% that I will be in Vancouver anyway. And look, I was making plans to go to Vancouver at some point in 2024. It was going to happen because I have friends there, and my friends are new parents, and so I've been dying to meet my little nephew. Mm-hmm. But then once you hear that WWE is bringing back their a PLE for the first time since 1998, you realize that that's kind of big and you want to be there. And again, I'm going for the child. I'm going to meet the baby. That is the priority, and not Survivor Series.
Sure it is.
But seriously, I mean, like I said, I did want to look. My nephew was a reason to go back, but now I have another secondary reason to go. So it looks like I will be there to attend Survivor Series. And my buddy, who used to be a wrestling fan many years ago, sometimes he talks about it. One of those, I used to watch it a lot when I was a kid, and or I used to watch. I just casually watch it as a kid. So it's something new that he wants to experience, because I can't remember if he's done a show or not, but what a way to bring him into something blindly than Survivor Series War Games. I showed him a photo of what it's going to be with the two rings, and he's like, what the heck is this? So I think immediately that piqued his interest. Mm-hmm. So I think it looks like I'm going to go there. And if that does happen, what a year for me in attending events in 2024. Definitely my best year ever as a WWE fan of attending stuff in person. And I think I thought the Money in the Bank would be a cool way to cap it off, but it looks like Survivor Series will be an even better way to cap off my year and attending events. So it looks like it's going to happen. I need to see accommodations and flight details, and of course ticket prices and everything. But looks like it's going to happen, which I'm very, very excited for. And not in the agenda, but what a way to celebrate that your student loans are done.
Yeah, that's right.
Going to
That's
Vancouver.
right.
So, because I'm finally about to wrap up my student loan, so I'm excited.
That's crazy though when you think about that, man. Like you have, there's a very real possibility you'll have done 3 of the big 4.
I know.
In probably one of the biggest PLE cycles of recent memory.
I know it's
Like that's pretty wild.
I mean, I've already done it all. I've done a Rumble. I've done 2 WrestleManias.
But never in 1 year.
Never 1 year, no. And Money in the Bank is now considered part of that big cycle, so you could say Big 5 now.
Big 5, yeah.
It's so insane to say 3 out of the 5. But no, it's exciting, and I remember there was a time when like I just didn't really want to talk about like my WWE fandom, and now I'm just like, forget it. I'm at an age where I'm like, you know what? No, this is what I'm a fan of. Take it or leave it as who I am, and this is just what I'm into, and I never expected to be that kind of guy to just travel a lot for WWE, and so. But again, I'm there for my nephew. I'm there for the nephew. I'm there for the child. I'm there for the child.
And with Jose, you mentioned that the last pay-per-view or PLE that was hosted by WWE in Vancouver was that was In Your House 26, Rock Bottom, December 13th, 1998. A couple of other things as well is that the last time Raw was in Vancouver was August the 4th, 2003.
This is huge.
And I was actually in Vancouver for around that time on vacation. I didn't get a chance to go, unfortunately. And then the last time SmackDown was there was 4 years ago, February 14th, 2020, where they did SmackDown and 205 Live as well. So,
RIP 205 Live.
I mean, look, it says a couple of things. Number one, Toronto's better and always will be better. Let's all acknowledge that. Let's all acknowledge that.
Wow.
Toronto's the way to go. Absolutely.
For any of our listeners that are outside of Toronto, please understand that Jose's views are completely his own and do not necessarily represent the views of Ringside Heat.
Oh, they're going to represent Ringside Heat very shortly.
Or Sauga 960 AM.
Or Sauga 960 AM.
No, I know what I'm saying. But seriously, Toronto West, Vancouver. So look, I'm surprised that Vancouver doesn't get enough events, and I know it's not because of the time difference, because California gets them left and right.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, and there's, I don't know how strong the Western Canada WWE presence is, how strong it is, but I'm ready to see, and I'm ready for Vancouver to show out. So I don't know why this doesn't happen out for Vancouver. All kidding aside, they should get events this big. And
Alberta gets them fairly frequently.
Nobody cares about Alberta, but it's Vancouver.
But you're asking,
wow.
No, you're asking.
Alienating every province of Canada here on this episode of Ringside Heat, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Great. So basically anything that's not Toronto is a flyover for you?
Damn straight.
Perfect.
No, but that's the thing. That's a great point, Steve. That's a great point that Alberta, like Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, they get a lot of WWE stuff. They get a lot of AEW stuff. But then Vancouver always gets left out. You know, here's a rumor I heard from back in the day, way back in the day, 2003. One of the reasons why Vancouver doesn't get WWE events, because I believe there was this rumor, again, this is a long time ago, but a rumor that after WWE events that there were some unfortunate incidents that have happened with fans, with fans getting in altercations with each other, and as a result, WWE is like, nah, let's stay away. But
Right,
that's again rumors from 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that altercations never happen after a hockey game.
I was gonna say that, the fact that you say that, and yet it's all rumor, and yet there's a clear fact of a riot happening after Game 7 of the Stanley Cup in 2011 doesn't help their case. Does not help their case. But look, I mean, Toronto, like WWE's been to more hostile cities. Who are we kidding? I mean, Philadelphia, Chicago, there are more hostile cities than Vancouver. So, I mean, I don't even consider Vancouver possible now that Steve brought up the riots. I technically brought up the riots. Then again, I may stand corrected. But it's surprising. So good on Vancouver. I would love to be a part of it. I think I'm going to be a part of it. It's one of those like you have to be there because, and again, I'm only going because I go to Vancouver at least once a year now. Since 2019, 2022, I've been going once a year. I try to go as much. I mean, I've been to Vancouver twice in a 6-month period, so I just love going there. It's such a fun city for me. I'm happy for them. This is so big and so deserved. So I'm curious to see what'll happen at that Survivor Series. Obviously, it looks like we're going to be heading towards the Bloodline versus Temu Bloodline storyline, War Games, which is massive. And I guess to start the conversation with you guys, my prediction. I think I've said this on the show. I don't think I have. I know I've said it amongst us in the group chat. Bloodline versus Temu Bloodline, and at the end of it all, we get The Rock comes back to set up WrestleMania 41 in some capacity. Yep. That's my call. That is where I open up the floor to you guys, but that's where I see Survivor Series going. I could be wrong, of course, but it's Jose.
I think I think there's it's all but telegraphed, that's what they're going to be doing,
which is fine.
Yeah, it is, because then at that point, you're getting close, right? It's November, and then you're already going to be thinking about the Rumble, so it's the right time frame to set up something like that.
Yep.
How it's going to look will be very interesting. I think feels like they're in a bit of it's a low period now. Roman's come back, he's made a statement, but there's a lot of story to unfold in a relatively short amount of time, because you got to somehow bring in the original bloodline, the Heyman, and you've got to do it in a way that is all building this momentum for the next few months. So even though we were talking on the break, I wasn't blown away with Roman's comeback. It made sense because I think there's going to be a lot of big pop moments. The Bloodline reunion tour is going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to be saving it to the last second. And you're right. I think Cody, I'm still saying this, somewhere down the road, you're going to have Cody and Roman standing shoulder to shoulder, maybe looking across the ring at The Rock and Solo. I think there's going to be some interesting moments there.
Yeah. So are you guys thinking that it's going to be Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Sammy again?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope.
I'm saying at least once I'm seeing Sammy back.
I see Cody in that spot. I do see a partnership, like John said, I do see a partnership coming because of Cody's issues with the Bloodline. And obviously this past Friday on SmackDown, it looks like that's not over, but it's going to play. I was thinking Sammy at first. I was, but I think was it last week? Or last week or during the live stream, the SummerSlam live stream, where the wheels were kind of turning. I'm going, wait, Cody would make sense here because of his issues with Solo, and then you see the unlikely partnership with Roman and Cody.
Yes,
which I would love for it to be Sammy, but Cody will make so much sense, and you need a WWE champion in that.
Still be a 5-on-5.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just gonna say. Is it can be both, because The Rock's got to be brought in at some point. To me, that's where you bring Cody in.
I don't see The Rock involved in the match, though.
For Survivor Series, why not?
No. Because War Games has a history of 4-on-4, if I'm not mistaken. I think last year was 4-on-4. Was it not?
It's been 4-on-4, but the original War Games matches in WCW were 5-on-5.
Survivor Series was usually traditionally 5-on-5.
I just think right now Sammy hasn't been really involved in Bloodline stuff since the Intercontinental Championship, which is fine. And I'm sure that between now and November, which is a lot more time than you think, John. I don't think that's a short amount of time. Between now and November and kind of a lull to see where it goes, I think there's a lot of time to incorporate.
Oh, there's enough. There's enough time, but they gotta, the wheels gotta start moving.
They do.
And they could still do 5 on Temu Bloodline side, because the third Haku son signed. Hikuleo has signed with WWE, so they're just waiting. They're just waiting to bring him in. So you'll have your 5 on that side. Rock can still come in later at the end of the match and
Yeah,
have his
it's
little
the end of the
CM
match
Punk
for me.
moment.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I
Right.
said The Rock shows up after. It's WWE. I think they're going to want to try to capitalize on Punk's big return last year at the end of the match. They're going to want to do it again because it creates the clicks and it creates the attention. And yes, you need to set up Las Vegas somehow. My only concern is if The Rock shows up again. I think it's going to be Rock Cody. I don't think it's Rock Roman because of the confrontation at the night after WrestleMania on Monday Night Raw with Rock handing Cody whatever the heck he handed to him. Do you have Rock win the Rumble? I don't like that idea.
Nope.
How do you set up the Rock in there? Do you just do like what you did in earlier in the year where you just say this is happening? The Rock says it's official.
Absolutely. He's the final boss. He's the director. I'm your boss. I am a director of the board. I can put myself in whatever match I want. That's going to be how he's going to do it. It's a perfectly good heel move.
Yeah.
Perfectly valid heel move. So let him do it.
I don't see for some odd reason I see The Rock realizing that the Roman Rock story has sealed, which is weird to say because it is money, but I don't know why. I think the ship sailed because they realized that there's bigger money there and bigger stories. Obviously, The Rock conceded to what happened at this past WrestleMania. That I can see him saying, "Well, I think the bigger money and the more attention is here as opposed to Rock Roman," but I could be completely wrong.
So, okay, I just had another thought, and maybe it's ridiculous. Well, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's not maybe. It's a totally ridiculous thought. If Sammy's not your 5, if not your 5th for the Bloodline,
Ooh, yeah.
He's got history with Bloodline. He's
Solo. Also on the Goodbye Tour.
He's on the. This could be the start of his Goodbye Tour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ridiculous. I think that's
very plausible.
Yeah. I like that idea.
I
That's not
love
ridiculous
this
at all.
Yeah.
No, you want ridiculous? Just have Lex say War Games. That's ridiculous. But I like that.
Wow.
I do like that a lot. I do like that. That's not as bad as you think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think also it gives a little bit of cover for Cena because in his last few singles matches he's been a little slower. He hasn't been moving quite as well, and I understand why. He doesn't have the reps. He hasn't been in the ring. He's not.
No, but all he needs is a hot tag and a 5-knuckle shuffle, and
you're great.
Box checked, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In a War Games match, he's got enough cover. There's enough going on within that match that he can have a couple of great spots, and that I like that. Be very cool for him.
Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to. I'm hoping there's a situation where Roman and Cody are fighting off Bloodline on either end in like some SmackDown or something, and they do the classic back into each other, and then the turnaround.
Yeah, of course.
And a little almost Mega Powers moment of acknowledgement, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. I want to see that.
You know what I want to see? I want to see Cody at one point throw up the ones. I want to see him throw up a one.
He's going to do it.
And acknowledge that Roman Reigns is the tribal chief.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Because he still calls him that.
Yeah.
He's like, you're the cause. You're cosplaying. You're the wannabe.
I caught that he was defending Roman as that was really cool, actually.
Yeah,
that's a fun little story beat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I even wonder if you ever do Roman Cody again. It's already been done a lot, and it looks like
I don't think you need to.
Exactly.
Imagine the dynamic of a face-face one, though. That would be a totally new dynamic for them.
And both of them have the potential to go heel during that match as well. Like there are such great possibilities of Roman.
And you'll see Kevin. Sorry, Lex, but KO and Cody, I think, is a test drive of that kind of thesis.
Yes.
Right, like a selection of no, you're my boy, you're my friend, I'm facing you. Mm-hmm. And then what it could be, they could be kind of beta testing this model for that kind of thing. Not that they haven't done it before, we all know that.
But particularly
for not Cody. Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is though, is that if they ever decided to turn Cody, he can always turn to Kevin and say, "Of course I picked you. I knew I could beat you."
Yeah.
Easy.
All Cody needs to do is just wash out the blonde and he'll be heel. It'll be great.
There you go.
I still think that. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just saying
you'll get the last word, and I'll end the show. Yeah.
I still think that Cody will have will go the John Cena route and never turn heel. I think there's just too much to flip him, because I think it's interesting that we're going to be back in a scenario of now we are already in there, like people wanting to see him turn heel when he's just doing great as a face and probably is an eternal face.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a massive crowd of people. I think Bully Ray sort of led the charge, but he doesn't seem to want to die on that hill. It's unnecessary, and the merch is just too good. Mm-hmm. He can just be one of those guys where you like him or you don't, you boo him, you cheer him, and he can morph into a tweener. But I think you're right, Jose. There's no real need, partly because you'd have to have the person who eventually he's going against would have to be comparable to Cody, and I don't think we have one of those yet.
No, not
yet.
There's just no one on the radar that can take that from Cody convincingly right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. John Cena always said about the heel turn, the reason that he never did it, his whole thing was, if you're booing me already, I'm already a heel to you.
Yeah. I love that.
And just for a little bit of context over here, last year's Survivor Series War Games matches, the women's match was a 4-on-4, but the men's match was a 5-on-5.
It was 5. Yeah. I stand corrected. It was 5. You're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is going to be an exciting time for again professional wrestling in Canada.
It'll be a fun fall.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ringside Heat on Sauga 960 AM, your favorite podcatcher, and on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Lex Tan, Jose Taboada, Steve Peconi, John Dawson, and you. Thank you so much for listening and indulging us for this past hour on the radio and on and on podcast as well as on YouTube. We'll be back with more great wrestling talk next week. Ringside Heat, we remember the things that you forgot. And this is Lex Tan saying, bye everybody.